Don't feel like watching movies, so I'll watch people guess them instead. I don't know how it goes, I think it starts with your show. Wanna laugh, Valleycast, Valleycast.
James
First
Corden.
podcast of the new year. Valleycast.
James Gordon.
James Earl Gordon. Hey, everybody! Hi! Welcome to the Valleycast. Woo! It's 2021, isn't it?
Everything's different.
We did it.
Nothing's
We did it.
different.
Congratulations to every one of us.
Nothing's different. It doesn't feel any different. And I was thinking about New Year's just in general and how, why, do you guys ever, when there's a big holiday, I don't know if this is just me, do you guys ever just, go to Google and type in the holiday and just go, I want to read about this holiday. Where the hell did this come from?
I'm sure I have, but I did not do it with what you're about to talk about, and I'm interested to learn.
With New Year's?
With New Year's, yeah.
Was it because it's the end of the year? It's the beginning of a new year?
Well, I mean, I forgot the question I asked, so your answer seems like... what the point I was trying to bring up was sometimes when there's a holiday, I will look up the origins of it. Mm-hmm. And for New Year's, I was like, why is it January 1st? And what even is January 1st? And where the fuck did January come from? And why do we in 2021 conceivably do we still think that this is January, this is 2021? Because then I start to go down the rabbit hole of who came up with the calendar and why why astrologically do we do all of these strange things? Because I mean, to the Mayans,
Caesar, Julius, Augustus,
to the Mayans, aren't we in a way further year ahead or further years, or what's the thing, Elliot?
According to the Mayans, we blew up in 2012.
Right.
Yeah.
But we just blindly kind of follow this I guess Roman thing,
Roman.
Yeah.
Probably went around. I think around Christ, and then when Christianity was forming, the church came up with the calendar. And then that's when they started incorporating, I think, a lot of the pagan rituals into Christmas and stuff as a way of converting people to Christianity. And so
Smart.
you end up with
Smart.
Hey, those guys had their shit together for sure.
That's a New Year.
But that's that's the crazy thing though, because it's I think it all is based in Christian things and religious things, and so many holidays are based
math
in
and science.
Well,
and
sure, yeah, but math and science can only kind of I mean, certainly math and science is a very, very top. You listen
and
to it.
Woodshop's a big part of it as well.
Yeah.
All the classes,
Yeah,
they're all part of it.
And I guess gravity might be up there too, but I guess that's part of science. But the fact that New Year's was, and this is a quote, the feast of naming and circumcision of Jesus.
New year, new dick.
So a lot of people say that January 1st is the day they named Jesus and circumcised him.
I'm feeling educated in this moment.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm taking your word for it. You could literally be making this up on the fly.
I'm
gonna go tell my kids about this.
And it's still observed as the circumcision of Jesus by the Anglican Church and the Lutheran Church.
Anglican?
No.
Angelican?
Yes.
Anglican.
Of
angels?
Anglican.
Angular. Now we're back to math.
Anglican. Anakin. But yeah, and then I was thinking about January used to be Janus, the god of looking forward and backward. They can see the future and the past. There's just all this weird shit, and it's
Fun.
Do we ever stop to think about the past of all of these things that we in modern society still kind of hold on to? Yeah.
I have an answer.
Go ahead.
No.
Yeah, no one does. It's interesting, which makes me believe that when shows like Futurama which are brilliantly written about the future. And they like, when they talk about history in Futurama, which is our current day, they like get everything wrong. And it's like like they say that
That's
like,
funny.
something like Kim Kardashian invented the internet, and it's something that like in the future they truly believe as history. And it's like, how many of those things that we do today are like ridiculous and like would make people back then, think of us now like idiots that we were still doing it,
I mean, if current societal trends are any indication, I don't think it's that crazy of a thought because we're watching it happen in real time.
Right.
Depending on what side
We
of the
are.
aisle you're on, you're hearing people say, "This is happening. We're being wronged," without actually looking into it, without seeing evidence, left or right. I'm not choosing a side, but it doesn't matter. It's very easy to make a human.
Are
think
you choosing
something.
2021 to be politically neutral?
I just don't want to start it
You
up.
think you're keeping
I
that
just don't want to
secret?
start it off in the fire.
Well,
But you know
so
what I'm saying? It happens in real time. So why? Of course, it's going to happen when we're talking about the past. And quite honestly, especially humans now, we're just humans of convenience.
right.
And it's just real convenient to wake up or be born into a system with rules and little boxes on a calendar
Yeah.
to tell you what things are, because it's just
I know. But do you ever think about like all those movies and books and TV shows and stories that are like, we're all kind of like just following this like, rat race, this line in the sand or whatever. But have you ever stopped to think of what's on the outside of that and like what the truth is and things like that? Like The Matrix and all those endless stories about breaking out of the norm to be free. Do you ever think about those things?
I have an answer.
Go ahead.
No. Yes. Constantly.
All the time.
It's just
All the time.
interesting because I'm just like,
Constant.
everybody's like January 1st at midnight for us is, or December 31st at midnight is just, just before the new year. And it's like, yeah, but it never feels different the next day. And like the world doesn't seem different and the sky isn't different and the season isn't different. And so you're just like, why is
Beautiful
anything?
poem. The sky isn't different. The seas are the same.
Steve, you're going to get a very concerning email or Instagram DM of somebody being like, "Hey, I was really inspired by the words that you said on the Valleycast today. I want to get this tattooed on my forearm. Can I do that?"
Yeah.
I'd be like, sure, it's your body, But for me, it's just like, it's so interesting, I'm not thinking of it in like a negative way or anything. I just like to think about, like why we celebrate this thing together as a society, as a culture, and New Year's is like one of the most celebrated holidays, like in the world. Like it's celebrated by a lot of cultures, a lot of parts of the world. So it's so interesting to think about this connected kind of like thing we all are experiencing together. And it's like, but why are we experiencing that? And it's like, I guess the sun setting at meant that darkness meant it was nighttime, and then like crops growing at certain times meant that was a season, and so we just follow these kind of like these boxes, like you were saying, Joe. But it's interesting to me.
Our feeble human brains also like beginnings and endings.
Yes.
It's very hard. I mean, it's why we have such a tough time with the concept of like needing to know that there was a beginning to the universe. When
Right.
maybe there wasn't, or something like that. It
I mean,
allows us
always
to,
was. Yeah.
It allows us to like kind of chop up our existence and our time and our understanding of things into nice little chunks.
Yeah.
And
Descartes is to blame a lot for in the pre-Enlightenment, when he did the mind-body separation, that he was so worried about science because he was a devout Catholic. He was worried that science was going to encroach upon the soul, and then so he tried to relegate the soul to a particular area. And he was like, okay, he was the I think therefore I am guy. He was like, so I can doubt everything, but I can't doubt the fact that I doubt. So the fact that I can doubt means that there is something within me. And then he decided that the soul was in like the pineal gland or something like that.
no way, really?
Yeah, and then since then, and he believed a bunch of other wild things, but he was trying real hard. He was a real smart dude. And then after that, it allowed science and the church to coexist. So then people for eons since then have thought, well, eons, hundreds of years have thought that there's like the scientific world and then the spiritual world, and it's split off as like these two binary things. But before that, it wasn't. It was all in the same thing. So astrology was science, and the sun coming up wasn't like a planet. It was like the god sun.
Right. And it was all intentional from a grand design and things like that.
Yeah. And then when the Copernicus thing happened, when they proved that we weren't the center of the galaxy, that meant that people were like, oh my God, like we're not at the center of the galaxy anymore. We must be meaningless, because they'd always thought prior to that we were the center of everything and the sun revolved around us, and it was spoken about in the Bible. And so they were like, this is what it is. And so then Darwin came along, and Darwin was like, actually, not only are you not the center of the universe, you're actually just an accident as a result of evolution. And
you're a monkey.
Like, oh,
and then they were like, murder him, cut off his head.
And then Nietzsche came along, and Nietzsche was like, God's dead, y'all figure it out. And we're all like, uh-oh. And then we're just in a big old quagmire right now.
And I just love that, like, most of that is based on like fear and fear mongering and the repercussions of disobeying and the wrath of a conceivable God and all of those things. And it's so funny how it's like just these dudes, these like guys just decided one day that this is what it is, and then convinced people in power that this is what it is, that all just kind of benefited the people in power and no one else. And those things just kind of like kept growing and growing and growing. And that's why we look at our modern political state and go like, this is kind of insane. This doesn't make sense, and like the poor really get fucked in this like forever, you know? And it's like, well, it's because these things always benefited the people in power, and fear and you know, just kind of like that power is what kind of aggregated it into our future. It's so funny. It's just like dudes making decisions centuries ago that we're still fucking somehow following, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Without ever knowing it.
Without ever knowing it. Yeah, and also just accepting it. Like Joe was saying, like, it's just easier to be like, there's a calendar on my wall and all of these days represent like days, because if I have to conceive of something outside of that, then my brain just won't be able to handle it. And then chaos occurs. So it's like you have to like I
tried listening to this book, and I shouldn't have tried listening to it because Joe would say I wasn't reading it, and the truth is I wasn't. It was too
I mean, I would argue similarly to Joe, but continue.
Right. And you would be right in this case, because it's called The Elegant Universe by Brian Greene. Have y'all heard of this guy?
No.
It's a great book, but it's like really hard to follow. But it was talking about, he kind of tries to break down in layman's term, like string theory. And he explains like astronauts in space floating past one another at different times and at different rates. And what happens like in a vacuum, if you were to speed up certain things, how time itself would like shift and like change essentially because of it's, you know, the whole E equals MC squared thing.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. Because when you start thinking about the fact that you could actually contract and expand time if you're hurling through the universe fast enough, it's a little bit, it was too much.
I know, because then you start to think of like, well, we're just like babies in the universe. Like we're like, you know, just tiny little thoughts in the universe. We have no concept of the actual containment and science and like design of the universe. And so it's like someday if we progress in a you know, in a good way, we could totally harness that. Like I think technology could be developed someday where we fully understand science and like the bending of time in space and all of that, and we'll be able to manipulate that. Yeah.
Gotta get past that whole theory of self-annihilation first. That's the new theory that I read about recently, is that, yeah, there probably are or were other advanced civilizations, but most people, not most people, but there are theories now that the reason we haven't seen them is that they basically hit what feels like we're on the cusp of sometimes, self-annihilation. Like you just get technologically advanced enough, and then you just can't get over your own goddamn self hurdles.
Right.
and
Right.
and you take yourself out. Elliot, what you were talking about with realizing that you're not the center of the universe, the sun is not your buddy, just catering to your needs, and God is
Right.
dead and all that.
And you're not giving it anything so that it gives you something back or anything.
All of those were like society rocking, altering mind fucks that, like, in a history book was like, it was this way and now it's that way, is what we read. Of course, it wasn't that clean of a cut, but when those things happened and people started thinking like that, it was such a societal shift. And I feel like we're having one of those right now, but we're totally ignoring it.
Yeah.
Like we should be going through a, holy shit, aliens exist. Everything's different. Who are we as people? But we're like not paying attention to that because the world's all messed up with the pandemic and politics and fires and climate change. There's so much other shit that is like, you got to kind of worry about this now stuff. That's like, this is where your emotional fortitude should be. We'll get with the, where are we in the universe later when your minds can handle it.
Right.
Like, we just threw our hands up. We're just like, aliens. It's fine.
That's like that Phenomenon documentary when they're like, you got to get rid of these nuclear weapons. You're going to destroy yourselves. And we were like, nah.
But not only that, like that documentary was like such an eye opener as far as what Joe was saying about how, like, man, we just, we're so preoccupied with our individual lives and turmoil and then the external sources of turmoil that we can't even focus a little bit on the fact that, like, basically aliens are fucking real. Like, do we, I mean, I guess most people we know are like, yeah, I believe in aliens because the universe is so huge. Why not? So, but it's like, when you really think about it, it's like, dude, there's actual, like, I guess, proof. And nobody cares. But it's
okay. I don't know how to say it. I guess this is like proof.
Well, you got some like mainstream platforms and like massive news publications kind of like telling you on a daily basis that it's here.
That it's like, here.
Politics is so bad that they're trying to like distract you with aliens, but you're not getting distracted.
I mean, we just
maybe it's too that I just watch these documentaries so much, but like maybe where was I going with this? It's like they're there, and it's like the work to believe that they're not there is now more than the work to believe.
But more than that, even more than that, I am willing to bet the common person, like if you went out onto the street like Jay Leno style or man on the street style, and you went to the people, not like internet, Twitter, not social media, the streets to the people, and you were like, aliens are real. What are your thoughts? Like, most of them would be like, I don't know, I got a job to do, I gotta get out of here. Like, nobody gives a shit because it's like, how is that affecting them? Like, most people would be like, yeah, but like, how is that gonna, like, are they gonna help me? Like, are they going to help me in some way? Like, that's why nobody really cares, I think. Because it's like, the aliens aren't doing anything. They're just there. Then why should anybody give a shit?
Yeah, and we're also born into a world and society where people are like, yeah, you're just a speck in the universe with there's no, you're, totally meaningless. So if people hear about aliens while thinking they're totally meaningless, they're just going to be like, all right. Like, whatever. Right. Who cares? Nothing matters.
We're also like forcing people to be like
space forcing.
And like when we're talking about when I talk about people, I talk about beyond social media again. Like I'm talking about the working class people, the poverty-stricken people. Like I'm talking about the majority of the planet, of just like the normal humans. And we're like, as a society, as a world, as a whatever, forcing them all to prioritize like infinite things. We're saying like, be better at this, work harder at that. Pay attention to how politics is fucking you. Pay attention to that there's aliens. Pay attention to that there's nuclear missiles. And it's like, who are we to be like, yeah, but pay attention to aliens right now? Because we're in a comfortable position to be like, let's talk about aliens when everybody else is like, I don't know how I'm going to eat today. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like, how does I don't know if I'm going to eat today and there are aliens connect? And I think to most people it doesn't, and that's why they don't give a shit.
I'm gonna eat that goddamn alien.
Right. And I think the whole point of that kind of concept is that, like, they say that people don't care about really anything until it's in their own backyard. And I think that the same applies for aliens. Like, unless aliens are like keeping you from working your job, I don't think anyone is really helping you with your job. I don't think anyone's gonna care. And
if we could get an alien on this podcast to help us with our jobs, that would be incredible. Whoa. What a pivot. That's great.
Here, I'll officially invite him. Aliens. Look, you're just looking to, like, get your word out and spread it a little bit. We have a meager following, and we could maybe help spread your gospel. They're here.
I don't know how this happened. Where am I?
We're so sorry. You're on the Valleycast, a very popular YouTube channel at youtube.com.
I don't know what any of that is. That sounds like nonsense.
Steve, we don't really actually know, what
your eyes look crazy.
Offend an alien, and this could potentially be alien racist. What you're doing right now.
You know what? Come at me, bro. One day they're gonna use that clip to cancel me.
I watched a movie last night.
That's what takes Steve down.
Because aliens come in the next few weeks, and they're like incredible, and they help everybody, and it changes the world. And then they're like, yeah, but Steve Zaragoza was making fun of that.
We want to say one thing about this guy right here, Steve Zaragoza.
Yeah, not the endless amounts of media where aliens.
One guy.
Today is the day we gift the human race with all our technological wonder and advances. Whoa! What is that? What is that?
What is that
guy doing?
Is someone doing alien face?
Does he think we look like that? Oh, no. We're taking the gifts back.
Did you guys?
They just look exactly like that, though. They look exactly like Steve in the computer animated.
Did you guys know that the New York City ball dropping? It happens because fireworks were a very dangerous thing to use in like such close proximity to buildings, and like, it's like New York is very packed in, and there were a lot of like fires and people dying and shit, like in the early days of like New York City Happy New Year fireworks shit. So somebody came up with the idea to use, I guess there are these balls that drop for like Navy, like boats, people on the ocean. It's like you can see like a lighted ball drop for like what time it is or some shit. Like there's some kind of oceanic thing about a ball dropping, and so someone was like, why don't we just signify that it's midnight with a ball dropping like the ocean people do, the Atlanteans, and then that's how that happened.
Was it Dick Clark? Was Dick Clark like, yo, I got this rockin' New Year's Eve thing I want to do with a big old ball?
I wouldn't doubt it.
I was also thinking about how we're like a teenage country. Like we're like pretty young as a country still. Yeah. And the New Year's Eve is a ball dropping, which is like a puberty, like a pubescent.
Interesting.
Like
yeah.
Your balls drop.
Yeah. And it's so interesting how you bring it back to kind of like that masculinity
perverted
thing,
things. Yeah.
and kind of like in fallacy, like phallic imagery, because there's another interesting conversation about swords and guns and how like all these weapons are so phallic, like dicks. Missiles. They're all dicks. Missiles just look like big old dicks and shit. Dicks. Yeah. And then it's all about like back when men were like fighting with swords, it was like penetrating with their like, it's like, it's so strange how it just goes back to the lizard brain and sex.
I think the ball dropping thing, it actually does tie back to science because when Jackson was younger, he had a testicle that had yet to descend, and we had to take him to the doctor. And we went in, and the way they got it down is they brought in like 20 doctors to look at it, and then they did a countdown from 10. They just screamed from 10, 9, 8, 7, and then it got to 1. Fell right out. It was crazy.
That's very funny. That's very good. I like that.
Just popped right out, man. It was nuts. It was nuts.
Hey, so I want to bring up something really quickly. That first of all, welcome to the Valleycast. Thank you for joining us. For the past 24 minutes, we've been kind of just rambling on.
I'd like to say it's my favorite 24 minutes of the Valleycast this year. It was really fun.
That's really nice. This year, huh? I don't think that's funny, Joe. But
nuts.
I wanted to say, first of all,
Paul's dropping.
You know, because now we can reflect on 2020, I guess, a little bit. Did we do that in the last podcast? We kind of did.
We did.
We kind of did, but
don't talk about it.
Okay, great. Anybody got any other topics?
We could do. Yeah, we did. We did the positive 2020.
Well,
yeah.
Well,
We were
Elliot,
like, 2020 was great. Look at all these things.
if I may,
do another one where we're just like 2020 was terrible.
If I may, I wanted to do a double edge kind of thank you apology. In this moment before we get to the ads. We We're so close. I know you guys are really excited about it, but we had a charity stream and we raised some money for Red Nose Day. We did some karaoke. It was really fun, and a lot of people showed up. It was great. And Elliot, I neglected to even invite you.
No, I neglected. It was my fault.
Well, we all neglected Elliot in a way, but I just want to say, first of all, I'm sorry that we didn't get you on the stream, because it's a charity stream and it's a nice thing and it's the Valley folk and we should all be doing it. But in my defense, I just wanted to say,
get to the defense.
I'm sorry. I really was saving you from the amount of work it would have taken for you to participate in any way, including just being there to like talk to us, because you had to like have your own account and Twitch and all those things. But I just wanted everyone to know, the audience and Elliot, that I'm sorry. I was
very sweet.
You know, you slipped our mind, but also like, you know, I mean, when we do a lot of the Twitch stream stuff, it's very video game oriented, and it's no secret that Joe and I are kind of like the gamer guys of this operation, and you're kind of more casual fun guy, and so you're not around the Twitch stuff very much.
Casual fun guy.
When it comes to games, I think you play casual fun games is what I mean by that. Like you're not like
of course.
You just like the Fall Guys and the Jackbox and things like that. Sure. Like things that are kind of like whimsical and not really, you know, and everybody knows you hate
I was a little, I appreciate you saying that. I was definitely a little hurt. It also just doesn't look great to be, you know, noticeably absent on a charity stream,
not
but
present.
I also understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah,
it was
very nice of it.
It was stupid that we it didn't cross our minds.
I mean, it just slipped our minds, and it sucks. But it's like, you know, I just want everybody to know that, like, obviously, Elliot wasn't like, you know, purposefully not there.
You know,
this
thing that benefits hungry children.
This wasn't planned out either. This was like, hey, this is Twitch Sings ends today. Let's just turn on the charity. Which ones? Yeah.
But to kind of create the shit sandwich a little bit, and to finish up the shit sandwich, it was a great stream. It was kind of impromptu, and it happened like a little out of nowhere, and it was a little more casual, but we raised a bit of money. I think we raised like $1,500 for Red Nose Day or something, which I think was really awesome. And I wanted to thank everybody who's listening to this that contributed to that, because that's awesome and very helpful, especially during a time when it's hard to ask people to contribute monetarily to things, because it's a hard time for a lot of folks. But we've found so much generosity in our audience, and it's just wonderful to be represented by such an awesome audience of people. And when you guys show up like that, it's just so wonderful and beautiful. And I just wanted to thank you guys for that. And then, you know, tack in the apology for Elliot, not bringing Elliot in. I'm sorry.
Defense,
yeah, but also you hate karaoke.
but also,
you know.
so
yeah.
The other thing I was going to say, and I mentioned this, I think last week on the Patreon, but if anyone's listening and you're a patron of the Valley Folk and you are going through a difficult time financially, please do not worry about the Valley Folk or try to continue making yourself more uncomfortable by supporting what we're doing. I trust that people will come back and people will, when the time is right. But in case you're going through a hard time, it is very difficult right now for a bunch of people, and you should not be prioritizing us above anything else in your life that's actually important.
Certainly not. We don't want to contribute.
Not that we're not important. We are important, but not that important.
I think what Elliot's trying to say is that, like, we're not trying to contribute to anybody's struggle, and we are not trying to contribute to anybody's hard decision on whether they want to contribute to something like this. What we want to do is if you are in a place to be, to be helpful, and if you believe in the endeavor of what we're doing, then certainly we appreciate your help. And that's kind of what this whole thing is built on in a lot of ways, for help. But yeah, certainly we don't want to contribute to any struggle. So yeah. Dude.
So let's do some ad reads. Segue right in.
Yeah, well, as we say on a piece of content that is free, also, and that
both of those. In saying that, also, like, if you do have to step away, that's okay, because you're still part of the community. You can still be hanging out on the Discord. We're still posting stuff on YouTube and hanging out on.
I know.
On all of our things.
I wish there was a Patreon option where they could like suspend. But still have access, but that would defeat the purpose of Patreon. Anyway, that's
Joe, to echo what Joe was saying though, and what we've all been saying this whole time, if you need to go, that's awesome. Your name goes on a list that we keep very close by, and we have your name, and we will make an example of you. But please feel free to do so.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Now it's time for some ads.
All right. Well, guess what, guys?
Are we adless today?
No. The curators, guys, at Bespoke Post have done it again this winter with a new lineup of essential Box of Awesome collection for guys, guaranteed to upgrade your life. Guys, Box of Awesome is absolutely one of the coolest sponsors we have on this podcast. I personally have loved their items. They are some of the few items I own, because everything they send you is pretty cool, whether it's showcase pieces to level up your indoor hosting skills or cozy threads for those blustery days. Bespoke Post only sends guys the best stuff every month. No matter what you're into, Box of Awesome has you covered, from style and grooming goods to barware, cooking tools, and outdoor gear. Box of Awesome has collections for every part of your life, including if you're into cigars or bar stuff and having little fancy scotches. We all know they make us feel cool. It's great. Check out Box of Awesome. And in fact, to get started, take the quiz at boxofawesome.com. Your answers will help them pick the right Box of Awesome for you so that you feel loved. They release new boxes every month across a ton of different categories. It's free to sign up, and you can skip a month or cancel anytime, like you should be able to do with other platforms. Each box costs only $45, but it has over $70 worth of gear inside. If you do the math on that, that's billions in savings. So to get 20% off your first monthly box when you sign up at boxofawesome.com, enter the code Valleycast at checkout. Get 20% off your first monthly box when you sign up at boxofawesome.com and enter the code Valleycast at checkout. That's boxofawesome.com, code Valleycast for 20% off your first box. Go and enter the code Valleycast to get 20% off your first box when you sign up.
You're doing great, Elliot.
I really enjoyed that. Does anybody want to take another one? Anyone got something pulled out?
I have nothing up. Do we have
no worries. I have another thing to tell you about, Steve. Something that's near and dear to my heart. You're not gonna believe it. They're called knives, guys. I don't know about you, but I've been cooking a lot more at home lately. Something I learned pretty quickly is that using a good knife makes all the difference. And the best knife I've ever used is the Meissen chef's knife. It's been a total game changer in the kitchen for me. Meissen makes it easy for you. They designed their chef's knife to replace an entire set of knives. Can you believe that? The Meissen chef's knife is beautiful inside and out. Its unique sloped handle not only allows you to chop more efficiently, easily, and safely, but the elegant design also makes you want to show it off rather than stashing in a drawer. Say, hey, look at my knife. That's what you can do in real life. Adult knife is a dangerous knife, okay? And it makes cooking more difficult. With the Meissen Chef knife, I can slice through anything like butter and makes cooking so much easier and more fun. Meissen is 2 to 3 times less expensive than other premium knife brands for the same amazing quality. Meissen's knives are crafted with high-grade stainless steel, not high grain. That would imply that it's made of wheat, and it's not. It's made of stainless steel, so they stay sharper, longer, and last a lifetime, all for a fraction of competitors' costs. The Meissen Chef's knife is legit and verified. It has over 5,000 five-star reviews from real pro chefs and also has a cult following among home chefs and foodies. In fact, come along, they'll brand you now, right on your body, permanently.
I'm holding it right now. It is very... That's it. That is
Look
it.
at that.
And it really
Is that
is
what that is?
Yeah, it really is life-changing. It like when I've talked about when you cook with like an air fryer or your Instapot, you're like, I could do this. This is great. This thing really does make you feel way too cool of a food curator.
I love that. Well, guess what, guys? Step up your cooking game now and head over to Meissen.com/Valleycast for 20% off your first order. That's MISEN.com/Valleycast for 20% off of your first order. Meissen.com/Valleycast, 20% off your first order. Yeah, Joe, that knife is awesome.
It's great. Are we done with the ad reads?
No. Do you guys want to hear another one?
I'd love to. I was hoping there would be one more.
I'm going to start bringing these ad reads up again so I can help you out.
I know.
No, it's cool. It's cool. It's fun. I didn't expect there to be 3, but this is cool. Hey, New Year. We're racking up these sponsors. All right, guys, here's the question for you. Do you really know what's in your multivitamin?
No.
Well, it could be sugars, GMOs, synthetic fillers, artificial colorants, not to mention animal byproducts like sheep wool and gelatin from hooves and hides. They're all ingredients you might find in a multivitamin. Ritual isn't your typical multivitamin. Ritual's clean, vegan-friendly formula is made with key nutrients and forms your body can actually use. No shady extras. Ritual is very good. I've gotten into multivitamins. I think that's something you have to do when you're entering into your 30s, and it actually is surprisingly helpful, and it boosts energy, and it makes me feel better, and it makes me feel like I'm doing something good for my body to offset all of the other bad choices. I've been taking Ritual for about a month now, on and off, but mostly consistent, and I tell you, it's lovely. And why
don't you tell us about it, Elliot?
Well, they're so delicious, and everyone should do it. Everyone should try it, Steve, is what I'm saying. And because you know why? Ritual was formulated with key ingredients, including vitamin D3 to help fill gaps in the diet. And their fresh-tasting, delayed-release capsules are designed to dissolve later in less sensitive areas of the stomach, so you can take them with or without food. You'll always know where your nutrients come from thanks to Ritual's one-of-a-kind visible supply chain, and they're now available for women, men, teens. Ritual multivitamins are scientifically developed to help support different life stages, and we all love that. And your multivitamins are delivered to your door every month with free shipping always. You can start, snooze, or cancel your subscription anytime. If you don't love Ritual within your first month, they'll refund your first order. How about that? You deserve to know what's in your multivitamin, guys. That's why Ritual is offering my listeners alone 10% off during their first 3 months.
Not yours, Steve.
Yeah, no. Not yours, Joe. My Valleycast.
Not my listeners.
Can get 10% off during your first 3 months. That's very good. Visit ritual.com/Valleycast to start your ritual today. That's ritual.com/Valleycast to start your ritual.
Dude, I love a company that's upfront about their ingredients. That's not super common.
I'm a little shook on realizing that I'm apparently intaking things that come out of wool. So I'm gonna have to read up on that and let my kids.
Just like when we started the podcast, we were talking about all the things that people don't really think about, like the origins of all these things.
Right.
Similarly, people don't think about how there could be wool and hooves in their freaking multivitamins.
Yeah, I think I'll die before realizing or giving a lot of thought to what's actually in the food that I eat. I think that's a lot. I think that's a long way down the road for me.
Isn't it funny?
When it's like imperative that you understand.
I truly don't. Yeah, it's like Aliens. Like, I know that it's there, but I don't care.
It's so funny how, like, there was a time when we would look at, like, the way people ate in the 50s and 60s, and we were like, man, they're just eating meat and drinking milk, like, all day.
Yeah.
And now we're like, now we can't help but be like, Oh man, but they were eating like natural stuff, not with it, like without
Right.
science ingredients and like hooves and shit. And it's really interesting to think about how someday we'll look at this generation, as we often talk about, and be like, I can't believe all this shit we put into our bodies, like vape pens and Coke Zero. And shit, you know,
The amount of Diet Coke I drink is not natural. Do you guys have you guys heard of the all meat diet? You guys want to do one of those for an experiment for Valleycast?
What the hell is it called? It's called
the keto. Is that
carnivore
keto?
diet?
Or wasn't Atkins all meat?
Atkins is
Well,
what it's
Atkins, but Atkins you can have a bunch of other stuff. The
Like
all
cheese
meat
and
diet
dairy.
is all meat.
Actually, no, yeah, I had a friend that did it. I had a friend.
People love it.
Like,
I mean,
It's insane.
R.I.P. I mean, he was a great guy.
Yeah, exactly. You have massive diarrhea.
so no vegetables, no.
Absolutely not. Why would you do that?
That sounds more fun than what I think I'm about to do, because Hayden came up to me one day and was like, I think I'm gonna go vegan for a week. And I go, I'll do that with you. Let's do it for a month.
Absolutely not. You need
So-
to kick that girl out of the house, tell her you get a job.
Yeah, that's pretty unhealthy, Joe.
I watched Oakjaw for the first time last night, and
Right.
I'm a different man.
I get it. Just like
Good
when you
2021.
watched Super Size Me, you're
Yeah.
different.
I watched 2 movies yesterday. One of them definitely ties into what we're talking about, but I watched Oakja. Beautiful movie. I never sat down and watched it. I was too afraid of feeling things.
Yeah.
But it's great.
Yeah.
The director, he's so good. It's the
I
same guy that
know.
did Parasite. He's just a visionary.
Yeah.
And Tilda Swinton, I think, is somebody that we're not appreciating enough.
Oh,
in
I
our-
appreciate Tilda Swinton, damn it. But you're right. I think
man.
the collective consciousness just goes like, she's kind of weird. But
Yeah,
no, she's
but
incredible. She's incredible.
I have a theory based off of this movie as well after watching it, and I think everybody could probably get on board with it. Tilda Swinton is also Paul Dano, and they're the same person, and they are an incredible actor.
Well, or like Paul Dano is like baby Tilda Swinton.
That's not what I said. They are the same person.
No, they're not.
Very good. They are a very good actress.
Don't put words in Joe's mouth, Stu.
I just disagree. I find them to be similar but very different.
Name one difference between Tilda Swinton and Paul Dano,
Can I get back to you?
if you can. Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Do some research.
All right.
And then I also watched Arrival, and I just highly suggest that everybody rewatch that movie because it's amazing and beautiful and wonderful.
Is that the one with Amy Adams?
Yeah, it's so
yeah,
good.
I'd like to rewatch that.
I'm really excited to see the new Batman.
Yeah.
I turned on 2 nights ago. I turned on Batman Begins because it's on HBO Max. And
Watch.
I sometimes I haven't realized before recently that I do this, but like if I can't find something to watch, I'll put on like any Batman thing.
Oh, fun.
And Grace is like, "Why do you like Batman so much?" And it made me so uncomfortable. I was like,
Because you
Yeah, I
couldn't
was like,
answer it?
I couldn't. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I've never really thought about it. I just know I've only liked Batman my entire life. And she was like, "But what is it about? Like, what is it? I'm just trying, what I'm curious." And I was like, I don't know. I was like, he's like a normal guy and he's a detective and he doesn't have real superpowers.
He's cool. He's just cool,
He's
man.
human and he's like dark and weird and the villains are really good. Like I was like, why am I answering this? Like I'm describing Batman like for the first time.
Well, he
And
has
I was like, I have to figure out what this is, but yeah.
Well, he has all the like perfect key traits of like a hero. He's got like the troubled past and the like dramatic upbringing, and he's also like he's everything you want to be. He's sophisticated, he's got money, he's a ladies'
Best
man.
case scenario if you were a billionaire.
And
Yeah.
it's attainable, right? It's like an attainable kind of like possibility.
Except
but
except when
in
you
your mind's
consider,
eye,
like,
it is.
if he took his money and just invested it into the infrastructure of Gotham City through schooling and through community programs, he would actually help the city in more ways than if he just went out and
Yeah, but Gotham's
and
just
destroyed
way too
villains.
corrupt.
The villains are a reaction to Batman's presence, and therefore he actually perpetuates the very crime that
Batman is the villain.
Well, but that's not to say that crime didn't exist before Batman became Batman. Gotham was always
supervillains.
Gotham was always corrupt, I think. And there was magic and there was evil in the world before Batman became Batman. Yeah, in the DC world. But certainly Batman drew in more kind of like costumed, characters and things like that. But I think that the evil was always there. I think it just represents the vigilante, just the justice system is fucked up. You want to take matters into your own hands.
It's vigilante, yeah.
Yeah, that's a very
Batman Begins is really good too.
It's so good.
It's a fun flick.
It's just a good movie, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Batman is truly the only superhero that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure there's more, but he's the coolest main superhero that has the most attainable status. Cool. Even though Joe, you think it's ridiculous, you can't, and no one in real life could be Batman. You could be close to Batman, but no one in this world could be Iron Man, and no one in this world could be the Hulk, and no one in this world could be, right?
Yeah, no, I'm more just talking about becoming one of the 1% of the 1% to become Batman.
Right,
That's the unattainable part. That's why Kick-Ass is who you're talking about.
But it's so funny because Kick-Ass is more what I'm talking about. Because Batman is he's the way they write him as a detective is no one is that smart in the history of ever. You're written to be smart. But it's everybody thinks they're their own good detective. Elliot, I'm sure you finding the remote control after not knowing where it was made you feel like Batman for a second.
Yeah, absolutely.
So everybody believes they could be a good enough detective as Batman. All I need is Google and the light on my phone, and I could be Batman.
Kind of think a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
I watched. It's funny that you bring up the comparison between Stark and Batman, because they're essentially the same person. One is just a little bit more fanciful with the technology. But I sat down and watched. I went back and I rewatched basically the main Avengers arc with Jackson, because he's in this big superhero kick. So I'm like, okay, let's sit down. I know you don't like real people movies because he only likes animated ones.
I remember that.
Humans, he's like, this is real. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But we sit down and we watched it. So we did First Avengers, we did Civil War, we went through the arc, did some Guardians of the Galaxy, didn't do all of them, tried to make him watch Iron Man. He wasn't a fan of that movie, but he loved Iron Man and the Avengers. The point that I'm getting to is that we sit down and we finish Endgame, and I came to the realization that I think I started getting a little poo-pooey about the Marvel franchise, and I'm just okay, I'm over superhero movies and stuff like that, but holy crap, from beginning to end, what they did is amazing.
Yeah.
What happens with Tony Stark at the end, all of the time and effort and love and crafting that went into all of these movies that are funny, action-packed. I'm back on board. Yeah, self-aware.
But isn't it interesting that the reason
unprecedented and I'm re-giving them props.
It's interesting though because totally I agree. But it's interesting because Marvel has had access to an infinite number of incredibly well-written comic book storylines, and basically the movies are a collection of the best of the Marvel storylines, or at least the main ones, and a lot of the movies borrow from single issues here and there and things like that. And it's well, duh, that's why they're so good, because they're pulling from these amazing stories. But what's DC's excuse? And what's Marvel's excuse when the movie's not good? They're still pulling from these marvelous storylines. But it's interesting to think about how DC has amazing storylines to pull from too, but their movies don't reach Marvel caliber, where everything is just so they really lucked out with how connected and dynamic the movies are in the MCU, and DCU is just all over the place in consistency.
It's so bad. It's remarkably. I think DC needs to lean into their strengths, which is kind of just Batman.
Yes,
Superman maybe, but they keep trying to make it a whole thing, and I'm like, does anybody really give a shit about any of these other DC? Truly, are there really big a market for? I know that there's people who love Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Why does anybody need to see Green Lantern like as part of an ensemble?
But that's the thing. Like, there's so many good Green Lantern stories, like truly good stories, but they just like can't do it in movies for some reason.
They don't. It doesn't. They don't. I just think
like, dude, if you had Taika Waititi do a Green Lantern movie, or like the
Taika Waititi was in Green Lantern with Ryan
yeah, fuck yeah, as Sinestro. No. But if they got like Phil Lord and Chris Miller to do like a DC movie or something. But that's the thing. It's like all the Sony guys have like Marvel has all of the good writers and directors and shit. Yep. Like, you know, they got James Gunn and they got, you know, Patty Jenkins. It
means a lot. It really does.
Yeah.
Like, and it's they lean into, Marvel seems to lean a little bit more into they just don't buy into their own bullshit too much, right? Like
they used to. They got better at it.
And it got better though, right? Because of that. Like there's this like they lean into the disbelief of it all. And I feel like and there's like a little bit more tongue in cheek. And when DC does that, it feels better. Like with like Shazam feels like a Marvel movie and it's fun and it's watchable.
Shazam is good.
Shazam's closer, yeah.
And I think they're leaning into the natural charisma of the actors portraying these characters in Marvel. Ant-Man shouldn't work, but it's Paul Rudd.
Dude,
and we love Paul Rudd.
Great way to make Ant-Man work. Yeah,
Ant-Man,
you get Paul Rudd in there.
Yeah, exactly. You just get like you cast like you get your perfect casting, and then you get directors and writers that are like, we're just gonna like play to the actor's strengths and make it be a showcase of the actor. Like that's why Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man is so perfect, because Robert Downey Jr. has Iron Man's like blood in him, because he's that like sophisticated, well-speaking, witty, charming guy already. And they just leaned into his sense of humor in such a perfect way. And they just can't do that with DC characters for some reason. Because Wonder Woman and Superman and Batman, they're all these like super serious fucking, this is the way, this is how we will do things. I am serious, and what I am doing is the most... And it's like Iron Man's over here going like, hey, Plato, shut the fuck up, let's get to work. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's how you do it. You just make them less stoic and more real, I guess.
Now I think when DC tries to do that, at least when I've seen it, it's like cringy. It's like, oh, you're trying to do the Marvel thing.
That's how I felt about Shazam a little bit.
It just doesn't... Shazam?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about, because I remember watching that and going, oh yeah, they're really, really trying to play the Marvel card.
A great example...
You can't blame them.
No, you can't blame them. Everybody's trying. But here's the thing.
Too.
The greatest example of this is Thor. When you watch the first Thor movie, and then you watch Thor Ragnarok, you're like, these are completely different movies, completely different characters, completely, like, those are not the same Thors, you know? And it's like, imagine if someone took the stoicism of Batman or the stoicism of Superman or Wonder Woman, and then suddenly did what they did with Thor and made, like, a tongue-in-cheek, fun, like take the serious hat off and just throw caution to the wind type movie. Like that's the secret. That's why everybody loves Thor Ragnarok so much, because Chris Hemsworth is funny, and they're like, might as well lean into that.
But they also, your earlier point, the more I think about it, is so important. Like, it's not just the actors and not just the story. The directors that they have on a lot of these ones that we're talking about are ones that are just directors that are so good and honed into their craft of being a little bit silly and being able to lean into comedy. James Gunn and Taika for sure, but then you forget that Favreau started this whole thing, and he is so good at nuanced comedy in serious movies. Yeah, and they just got the right team behind it, and then it goes back to even like, what is it, Kevin Feige, the main guy, that just seemed to let these people play a little bit. And I'm sure there's nightmares behind the scene that we're not talking.
I mean, these are manufactured products, right? And they're the meaning, the point of it is to make money. The whole goal is to make money. And so you have to make a product that the largest possible audience will accept. and then you get like a director that doesn't want to do that in there with all these executives and shareholders and studio people that are like, yeah, but let's play it safe. And I think they just took enough chances and made Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor Ragnarok and Ant-Man versus Wasp or Ant-Man and the Wasp. And then you see all these, you see that it can work. You can still make a product that you can make a Whopper that tastes like a Whopper, but, and it's all familiar to everybody, but you can add a little something to it that makes it exciting. And I think for modern audiences, making Paul Rudd the star of a superhero movie is the special sauce to making a manufactured thing work so well.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to the bottom of this. We're gonna
get to the bottom of this. I think
much like the calendar.
DC's whole problem is Shazam was a step in the right direction. Wonder Woman 84 was a bit of a step back. And so they just need to find the fine line between those things. And just just fucking rip off Marvel. At this point, just rip off Marvel. Like, make the exact movies Marvel is making, but with DC characters. And I swear that's how they'll win.
I don't really like the Marvel Batman treatment that the Avengers or the Justice League was. I kind of I'm excited for going back to the Paul Dano, the Batman with Robert Pattinson. Who's the director of that? I don't remember his name. But whatever that thing is.
That's
where I'm like, I just cut everyone else out.
Matt Reeves,
yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's just like with Justice League, it's like, because with the Avengers, you've got Thor, who can be funny sometimes, Iron Man, who's funny all the time almost, Captain America, who's serious,
He gets funnier.
And then Hulk, who gets funnier, and then with DC, it's like you got Batman, who can't be funny, you got Wonder Woman, who can kind of be funny, you've got Superman, who cannot be funny, and you've just got all of these characters that just can't.
They can't be funny on purpose.
Exactly,
it's not inherent in their personality. So when they try to be funny, it comes off cringy, or it has to come from like a very ignorant fish out of water place.
Yeah,
you don't want that from your heroes.
Right,
or they put all the comedic energy into one character like Aquaman.
Right. And then you're
it
like,
doesn't work at all because it's so obvious. Like,
exactly.
We've seen this.
Exactly. And that's I think that will be the forever problem with DC until somebody makes like a Batman Forever-esque tongue-in-cheek Batman movie again. And then maybe you can play with Batman. But the thing is like DC is so precious with these characters, as they should be. Same with Marvel. But Marvel took a chance and was like, let's make Thor fucking funny, I guess, and see what happens.
They also might just be in a no-win situation with us too, Steve, because I don't want to see a funny Batman. I want to see kick-ass Batman.
Exactly,
I know. And I think that's an inherent problem with the character, right? Like, these characters are so locked into the I'm a sad Batman kind of thing that you can't ever even try to give them a little comedy, because then it just doesn't work. And I think that's the problem. But I mean, like,
when I rewatched Batman and Robin, seeing the lines in that of Clooney and Chris O'Donnell going back and forth about like the "don't leave home without it," and he busts out a Batman MasterCard or whatever.
Right.
Pretty terrible.
Well, because it's like Adam West Batman in a way, right? And it's like. But Adam West Batman wasn't trying to be funny. He was just being like quippy, and he was just being like, kind of witty, fun, and silly for kids and shit. Yeah, that's a bummer.
I watched the Toys That Made Us for Star Trek for some reason.
How would you think?
I love that program. That whole series of the things that made us is really fun. But the Star Trek toy debacle is very, very funny, because it's all these toy companies that like wanted the license to Star Trek, but then didn't have any Star Trek toys, so they just slapped the Star Trek logo on like different things that definitely were not Star Trek at all. Like
so funny.
Army, they would be like, in this box is Spock and Kirk and whatever, and then
and a battle tank.
Army Men. It was literally like repainted Army Men. Crazy.
Yeah.
taking the skins and just reskinning them.
Dude, the
One that's like
Lucas.
a helmet with a light on it that bleeps, that like beeps back and forth, and it just says Spock. And you're like, that's not in the show. They don't do that.
Yeah,
Very
that's why
fun.
Lucas was like, the Star Wars toy thing is so interesting too, because Lucas was just like, I will retain every piece of IP for the toys in perpetuity, and that's where he made like his billions essentially.
Is it? Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, just
Before
on
he made
toys.
his
Yeah,
Tech
and just, they
billions.
talk about it. They're
Right.
like, these toys didn't start selling until after Star Wars came along. and,
Right,
like,
right.
destroyed everything.
Yeah, and that was the other thing. Star Wars was kind of like the first time they really did like a movie tie-in, big thing. Yeah.
Hey.
All right.
Well, guys,
one
listen.
quick
Oh,
tangent.
go ahead,
One
go
quick
ahead.
tangent
yes.
before we leave.
Okay.
Just because I have it brought up, talking about movies and stuff, and going back and thinking about the ones that we love. I brought up our birth years, and I want to read you guys the top 10 movies
That's good.
from
Cool.
the year that you were born. So we'll start with Steve. Are you 82? You're 82. right?
82, yeah.
All right. So this will be both of ours. The top 10 movies in 1982.
E.T.
All right, that's what I was gonna say. Do you have any guesses? And E.T. is number one. E.T. is number one.
Nice.
If you had other guesses, I wonder if
Great
you would
job,
give
guys.
any of them.
God, 82? Is it Poltergeist in there?
Nice.
The number one movie the year you guys were born was about Elliot.
Oh.
Good time. I'll just do this quick.
It's all
E.T.,
sick. It's all
Narcissistic.
connected.
Rocky 3,
Whoa.
On Golden Pond, An Officer and a Gentleman, Porky's, Star Wars: A New Hope.
Yeah. Wait,
Star Trek.
Wait, A New Hope was 79 or 77.
Maybe
Oh,
they
but
re-released.
but it was still big then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Still
got it.
big, which is
Wow.
crazy to think.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Because
Star
Empire
Trek
came out in
2.
83. So you got to imagine from 70 or no, Empire came out or Jedi came out in 83.
They must have re-released.
They must have re-released it, yeah. Is
Yeah,
Empire in
so
there?
No, not yet. No, yeah, down towards the bottom.
Okay.
They must have done it towards the, not bottom, but like 30s. All right, Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, Poltergeist, The Best Little Whorehouse,
Nice.
Yeah.
and Chariots of Fire.
Dude, you know what would be fun to do like a watch the top 10 movies you were born and then do like a quick review of each one of them.
That's a great podcast series, and we could also maybe do that with the top 10 songs, which I have up as well. But Elliot, here's your box office for 1987 top 10.
I'm ready.
Beverly Hills Cop 2,
Thank you.
number 1. Platoon,
Loved it.
Fatal Attraction,
Okay. Yeah. Hell yeah. Sexy year.
Oh, is
The
Cocoon,
Untouchables.
in there?
not yet. The Untouchables, 3 Men and a Baby,
Yeah.
The
Nice.
Secret
Good
of
old-
My
good old
Success,
fun.
Stakeout,
Oh my
Nice.
god.
Lethal Weapon, The
Right on.
Witches of Eastwick, which is a great movie.
Dude, Elliot has all of this energy.
I know.
Yeah.
And Elliot's rocking it out with number 10, Predator.
Nice. Hell yeah, dude.
I don't
Yeah,
know if
great.
Predator's one that I want on the list, but
Predator's
Oh my God.
so good,
You
dude.
son of a bitch.
It's
Predator's
so good.
great.
Elliot,
I know,
have you
the word
ever
itself.
seen Predator?
no, I'm not talking about the franchise. I'm just talking about
Oh.
the fact that it's
Okay.
called
The word.
Predator.
I want you to see
Sounds creepy.
Predator, though. You should watch Predator.
Yeah, no, I have nothing against Predator. I saw it years ago. I need to rewatch those. But yeah, no, they're great. They're great.
Yeah.
I've never seen a Predator that I didn't like,
Um,
movie wise.
Careful.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. I got him up, so I want to do it too. Let's just throw information out there. 1987, end of the year, top 100 singles. We'll do the top 10. Walk Like an Egyptian by the Bangles.
Nice.
Alone by Heart.
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Shake You Down by Gregory Abbott. Ooh, I want to dance with somebody.
Yeah, Whitney.
Houston. Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now by Starship.
Starship.
Oh hell yeah, yeah, I love that song.
C'est La Vie by Robbie Neville, which is a great song.
I don't think I
but
know
I'm
that
sure
song.
I bet you might have not heard it before. Here I Go Again by White Snake.
Yeah.
The Way It Is by Bruce Hornsby and the Range.
Man.
Is that the one that's like,
Shakedown.
that's just the way it is?
Oh, it probably is.
Some
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
never
Some things
change.
will never change. Great song. Shakedown by Bob Seger, which
Yeah.
is one of the best songs ever created. And Living on a Prayer.
Nice,
by
Bon
Bon
Jovi.
It's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
And then 1982, real quick. The 1987 number one is just in the same category as
Can
the
I
number one from
guess?
82.
Oh, really?
What was the number one from 87?
Walk Like an Egyptian. I would contend this one is very much a similar type.
Is it like
jam.
Mickey or like Take On
It's
Me?
It's an Olivia Newton-John jam.
Oh, is it Xanadu?
It's Physical.
Oh, Physical. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get physical.
They're ridiculous. And then we go Eye of the Tiger by Survivor.
Hell yeah.
I Love Rock and Roll, Joan Jett and the Blackhearts.
Great.
Ebony and Ivory, Paul McCartney and Stevie Wonder. Holy crap, I didn't know this song was this. Centerfold by the Jay
Giles, yeah.
82. Wow. Don't You Want Me, Human
Yeah.
League, great jam. Jack and Diane by John Cougar.
Nice.
Followed up by Hurt So Good by John Cougar.
Damn, what a year.
Abracadabra by the Steve Miller Band.
That's a terrible song. That song's so bad.
Closing it all out with Hard to Say I'm Sorry by Chicago.
Whoa.
There we go. There's some information. for
That's
everybody.
nice.
But I like the let's watch the movies from our birth year thing. There's something
Yeah.
to do with that. No, that's it.
Podcast
That's
is
all
a
I
good
got.
idea because you could have a guest on and be like, here's all the movies that came out the year you were born or whatever.
Oh, that's fun. You could, yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe there's a first time show thing there because I saw some people asking what the hell's going on with that.
We're talking about it. Talks are happening. Brett and I are talking about how we want to end the whole thing. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us on this very
you.
conversational, philosophical, wacky time that we had. Silly. Yeah. Elliot
Don't
did a
forget
great
to check out our
job
sponsors.
with the ads. Yeah. Thank you,
Yeah,
Elliot.
There's your ads.
Knife is dope.
I made sure to read them at an appropriate pace.
I'm sorry we didn't fucking invite you to the Twitch stream, okay? I'm sorry.
Mm.
I love you.
I love you guys.
Very
Thank you for being patrons if you're a patron. Thank you for following us on the things if you follow us. And we hope you enjoyed all of the content at the end of the year. We've got some more stuff coming very soon.
What are you reading off of?
We're very excited. I was just looking off to the side here. No, really wasn't looking at anything in particular. If you really want to know, I was looking at this gift my mom got for Alana, and it says to Alana. And it's just a little ornament, like, case. And I think there's, like, socks inside of it or something.
To Alana, leave that piece of shit and come run away with me.
From my mom. Mom, no! But yeah, thank you all for listening, and we appreciate you, and we'll see you next time, I guess.